Hello. So I want to show you how to make a figure, a sculpture of a seated cat. There's a drawing there that I did of a seated cat, which is attached to the email, and I'll talk about that a bit when I'm showing you how to make the model. I thought it would be good to do this in 2 sessions. So today's session will be making it out of some loo roll middles and some masking tape. I'll show you how to do all the different bits, and then I'll start covering it with tissue paper and glue and leave that to dry. And then the next time I do a children's session, I will be painting it and doing the details. So I've set myself up. There's my drawing. I've got some bits of masking tape all waiting here. So if you can get maybe an adult to tear bits of masking tape, then it's there for you just to work with and your hands are free. I've got some middles of loo rolls, which curiously come in different sizes. That's a thick one and that's a thin one. Doesn't really matter. I'll probably use the thick one for the body, the thin one for the head. And here's my finished at that stage sculpture. And the thing I think is really worth saying is I struggled to make it look like a cat, and it's not yet quite like a cat. There were times when it looked like a dog or a rat. I had too pointy a head, so I made that a bit shorter. The ears were much higher, that they looked like dog ears, and it looked sort of alert and ready to go like a dog. So I shortened the ears. It's only got front legs, it's not got back legs. It's got a fairly small body. So there's lots about it that's not finished. But don't be discouraged if your cat looks like a rat or a dog. Don't be discouraged. Try and work out what it is. And sometimes, as I said, I think looking at the drawing or looking at some pictures can help. Is it the shape of the head? Is it the size of the body? And some of those things you can change at this stage. And some of those things you can change when you come to paint it and refine it. So we'll lie that one down there, or sit that one there, and start with the head. So what I did for this head was I cut half of a loo roll middle, and then I snipped into it like that so that I could fold it round, because I think cats' heads are a kind of triangular shape. A bit like that. So are rats, and so are certain dogs. But that's just the starting point. So I've made a bit of a cone by cutting that there, and I'll take that down. So that's a start. Then what I also did was I snipped here and here, so that I could get a top to that head, like that, and have those sticky out bits which I might use for the ears to be attached to. I also stuffed it a bit, because I found that if I could keep it thick, then it would keep its shape. So I put something in there. I think I'll just use a bit of this. I would normally have put some newspaper in, but something just to stop it from compressing as you work on it. And then let's put that bit across there. So here's a head, a pointy head. And the other thing I did, because I looked at the drawing and the pictures of the cat and saw its jawline, then its little chin, and I thought if I was to cut here, like that, then I could shorten that a little bit and give it a little chin. And the other bit I think I'll use for attaching the head to the body. Okay, so there's a head. Shall I do the ears? Let's do the ears next, so that they're an encouraging sight. So cut a square of the loo roll holder, and then again cut a snip into it. So there's a triangle. I cut the square in half and made a triangle, and now when I fold that, that's going to give me a good ear shape, which I'll tape together, and then I'm going to cut down, because as I told you, I only really need about to there. So I'm going to cut down to there, but I'm leaving a little tab attached like that, so that I've got something to attach it to the head with, and maybe that'll just slot down in the hole like that. So there is one ear, and I'll pause while I do the other ear. So I've put on the other ear. I'm still not entirely happy with the shape of the head, but I think it would be good to get it onto a body and then keep on working on that. So I'm going to use the other loo roll middle as the body, and because the cat is sitting down, it's quite thin at the top and it gets fatter further down. So I'm going to turn this cylinder into a kind of cone shape. I'll cut down to about there and roll that around so that the top is thinner and the bottom's a bit thicker. And if I try and stand that up, it won't stand up because of that bit there. Do you see, the bottom isn't straight anymore, so I could trim some of that off a little bit more. I don't want to get as far as my cut, otherwise it will break in half. But that stands up fairly well. And then what I did, in order to attach the head, I just pushed this in. I just made a little bit of a dent, because I don't know how much you see of a cat's neck. I need a cat to walk in the room so we can have a look at it. But that's giving me somewhere to sit the head. It does look like a mouse. But no, it's early days. Don't worry if it looks like a mouse. And I think the cat's head is more, it's a bit stockier, a bit shorter. And it's got, I'm pushing in the sides there because of that jawline. And you can do this a bit with this card. You can also do it when you eventually get to work with the papier-mâché. You can pad it out a bit. So that's going to sit on there, and let's get that just taped out the way. And put a piece of tape. The way to attach the head is to put some pieces of tape on. Maybe one on each side. Then put it in the place you're going to put it on the body, and then you can attach it with the tape. And if you've seen the other things that I did, the fish, and maybe you've even seen the horses that I've been making, you'll know that the masking tape is just to hold it there for the time being, because you're going to cover it with tissue and glue. And that was nice. The cat's head is at an angle, looking a little bit inquisitive. So you're going to replace the masking tape with tissue and glue, and that will harden and it will be stronger when it dries. So here is the cat so far. I'll lean you on there so you look right. And I'm going to make a couple of legs. So we're only doing front legs. So that's what's left over from that loo roll holder. And when I looked at my drawing, I noticed that the top of the leg is much bigger and it gets thinner down to its ankle, then it's got a foot. So I'm going to try and do the same with my bit of the loo roll cylinder. So first I rolled this up for a paw, and then I squashed this bit to be an ankle so that it's thinner at the bottom and thicker at the top. And then I wrapped some tape around there. So I know that's not much of a paw, but it's a start. It's something a bit thicker that we can work with. And that's one leg goes on there. And I'll pause again while I do the other leg. So next I'm going to add a tail. I had another loo roll, so that's actually my third middle of the loo roll. And I cut a piece out of it, this piece, which I've started to roll. So cats' tails are a little bit thinner at the end, aren't they? So it might be worth having a piece of tape at the end there that I could even shape a little bit, like that. So it's slightly pointier. Another piece just to hold it together. And what would be nice for this sculpture would be to have a tail bent, perhaps bent up in the air. So lastly, to attach it, we need a bit of tape ready. And I think the cats sit on their tails, don't they? So I could put it there. And I put the tape inside, maybe another piece of tape on the top as well. So again, the masking tape holds things in place long enough for you to cover it with the tissue. And we're also going to see that when I do cover it with tissue, the body at the moment is a little bit flat, whereas when I look at my drawing, the cat has got a thin neck, it's got shoulders, it's got a bottom. So there are things like that that I can probably I can pack on a bit of newspaper to get, or a tissue paper to get a bit more shape to the body. So that's as far as the masking tape and the card will go. Next, what I'm going to do is cover it with some tissue and maybe do a little bit of the padding that I mentioned. So there they are. What are they? Cats, rats, terriers. Sometimes they look better from one angle than another. But certainly once they're painted and they're stronger, they're going to look more and more like the cat. And imagine giving them these beautiful big eyes to give them a little bit of character. Okay, so one more thing just for today's part of the project, just really a reminder for those of you that have done this, or if you've never done it, to show you about the papier-mâché. So I've got two cats now. So that's the first one that I've started to cover with tissue paper and PVA glue, and I'll just show you how I did that. I've still got the back to do, and I'm possibly going to change the shape of the back, but I think I'll cover it with tissue with PVA and glue, tissue and PVA, let that dry, and then I'll change the shape, and I'll maybe change the shape in the next video that I show you. which will be in a few days' time. So I'll give you a few days to get on with this. So that's the other one, the one that I made at the beginning. So I've got pieces of tissue paper. This has just come out of a shoebox or something. It's quite good tissue paper, it's fairly strong. So if I take some of my PVA glue and paste it over my tissue paper, the tissue paper doesn't fall apart. So if your tissue paper falls apart, see if you can find any other tissue paper that might be slightly better. So I've picked it up, and as I've been telling you already, the idea of the tissue paper and the glue is that the masking tape will hold everything in place, but then you cover your sculpture with a kind of skin. See, that tissue paper's torn there, but if I'm fairly careful, most of it will stay together. So I'm covering my cat with a kind of skin, so all those bits of tape and box will be brought together. But it's a skin that when it dries, it will be harder and stronger at holding the bits together than the masking tape, and hard enough to paint. And that's one of the things that we'll do in the next session. I'll do a little bit to do with changing some of the shapes, maybe add a little bit more to the face and to the head, and also maybe the back, so that it doesn't look too much like a loo roll, and it looks more like the shape of a cat's back. So I find it's quite good if you can first put your bit of tissue on the table, cover your table with some newspaper or something, spread out the glue onto the tissue, and then you can be a little bit clever and you can just, well, you can rip your tissue. You can pick it up with your brush and then lay it down and use the brush just to smooth it out. And as I smooth it out, I want to get, oh, that's broken again. I want to get inside the ear, I want to get between the ears. So provided your tissue doesn't fall apart too much, you can actually use the brush to shape it to your cat's head. And I think it's quite good when it wrinkles like this, because then it starts to have a sort of fur texture. So I think I'm going to do those ears and the legs, just in case you haven't seen this before, because the ears are a small, complicated shape. It can help actually just to use a smaller bit of tissue. And do that first, because I really want to join that ear to the rest of the head and fold it round. And I make sure that's gone right inside the ear, because I worked quite hard to get an ear shape with an inside and an outside. And then maybe I'll just do something to the leg to show you that as well. So the top of the leg with my seated cat, the top of the leg is attached to the body, obviously. So I'm going to cover that over, but this bit of the leg I want to wrap that round, because I want these legs to stand out from the body. And then I'll put another piece underneath, maybe let that dry a bit, but then I'll get another bit under there. So that's maybe all that is worth showing you for the next stage of covering your cat sculpture with the tissue and the glue, and then put it somewhere to dry. And next time I do a video for children. This will be dry. I might do a little bit more to change its shape, and then I'll be painting it. So I hope you have a go at that, and do let us see what you do on the Facebook group. And if you like doing this and you're interested in horses, I've done some, you'll see if you look on my YouTube channel, there are videos of making horse heads and horse sculptures. Okay, I hope your cat works. Bye bye.